all of your spiritual achievements, attainments, are not done by you. You may think so. You may think so because you may function from the personal level of thinking about your efforts given on your spiritual path. That's what you may think. But you are where you are now only by the grace of God. So this is how deeply ingrained it is to function from a place of personal will and personal identification with the belief that it is you yourself as this person achieving what is being revealed to you. So we also need mercy because we frequently indulge in the wrong actions because of our certain desires and ego. In fact, grace and mercy are very much intertwined. In fact, in Punjabi, there's only one word that is used for both of grace and mercy. It is combined, and the word is Daya Mehar. As it is within the will of the divine, of God, to give this to us or not. And this reveals deep within us all the degree of faith in God, in the source, and the degree of surrender. Losing control, letting go of the control of the one that is doing or the one that knows, the one that believes, the one that has been programmed and adopted all those beliefs and functions. When we can truly see all of that for what it is, then we are ready to transcend this great fixation, limitation that holds us, keeps us in this very limited view. And that's why humanity suffers, just because of that. So Maharaj Charan Singh has said, God's grace is always there. But we have to become receptive to God's grace. There is no limit to His grace, which is everywhere, but we have to be receptive. And we have to also acknowledge, truly see when divine grace has poured upon us. We can be receptive to grace and mercy only if we learn to recognize it. And this can happen when the signs of grace and mercy are comprehensible to the human intellect. So when we are truly open and aware, presently open and aware, we can truly see this gift from God, because it actually happens all the time. It's actually poured upon us all the time. But most probably because one may not comprehend what grace truly is, one may overlook it 1,000 times. Just like this moment. How is this moment truly happening? How is this manifestation of now unfolding? How is it happening? But we may be too busy trying to grab onto the next moment or search for the next thing, to feel a certain way, to achieve a certain thing. And yet we miss upon the grace of God, that it's truly everywhere. So some say it's like a hidden gem, hidden secret, but it's not a secret at all. If we can only recognize that. So Maharaj Sawan Singh, he has simplified 4 signs that he guided with. Number 1 sign of his being merciful to anyone is that he creates in him dissatisfaction with the worldly routine and a longing to seek the truth. So, as a human being, one suffers a lot from dissatisfaction because one puts so much personal efforts in the quest and the search towards happiness. And it really tries its best, the personal, the ego I, to try and achieve that contentment and peace and natural unconditional joy and bliss. But yet, the ego I is never satisfied. It's impossible for the ego I to be satisfied. Thus, it then comes to a point where it's cornered. And out of so many trial and errors, at some point this fire awakens within, the longing to seek the truth. Who am I? What is true? And that's when it begins, when the longing finally awakens in one's soul, from a sleeping mode to a awakening and longing for truth. So the second sign is that he brings him in touch with the living master. So that too is not a coincidence, because there is no coincidences. That takes place only by the will of God, and it is by God's grace that you as a soul, any soul, is guided towards a living master, a living teacher. So once again, one may think that the person has done his efforts, but it goes again way beyond the person, because it is by the choice of God, by the grace of God, that you as a soul is now uplifted and on your path towards the return home and the liberation of the soul. So that is the second sign. And according to Maharaj Sawan Singh, the third sign is that the master imparts to him the secret of the divine light and sound stream. Because a person on its own is impossible to do this alone. So we are all humbled. Everyone, all are humbled by that. Because no one can say that one has achieved and attained moksha, liberation, yes, by his own will. Impossible. Every time you meditate, you may think you're doing it. It may look like that. But if you can see all the higher beings, every time they're unconditionally waiting for that moment for you to be still, to slow down and to meditate, and to align and connect with the divine light and sound stream and the higher light from source, so that they can come along and further continue to support you. But because you may not see this, you may not acknowledge how God's grace is showing up in your moment to moment. And the fourth sign is that the initiate works diligently and faithfully on the divine light and sound stream, on the mantra that you receive, on the soul seed mantra, on the wherever you are on your path, according to the level of consciousness you are working through. And that when there's faith, when there's trust, when you are aligned with Divine's will, there is no questions asked, because that soul is now being taken care of. And actually the living master or living teacher, their soul has a great responsibility. And that responsibility goes way beyond of what one may think. And that greater responsibility is to guide that soul back home. But that too happens because of the grace. So it is all happening selflessly. It is all happening by God's grace. I have a quote here from Upasani Maharaj. Only when the grace of a Sadguru descends on one can transcend world consciousness and become God realized. So grace uplifts us, uplifts all burdens, uplifts all struggles. Mercy redeems without conditions, and it forgives all automatically. Its nature is to redeem without question. And from our side, your side, is to have the love for God and the intense longing to see God, to merge with God, to be united back home. In selfless service towards humanity is also a way to practice this faith and trust. Because when we are selfless, and in whatever way an expression of God, the unique expression that comes through your soul towards humanity in one way or another, but without having any thought of receiving or attaining any reward or gain or whatsoever. Because once again, here you are reminded that it's all happening through the will, through the love, and through the grace of the divine. And I have one more quote here from Guru Nanak. Karma is the cause of birth in this world, but salvation can be obtained by His grace.